Look at how many people he affected negatively. That was his trade-off to gain what he had. His former bodyguard, Gene Deal, said he seen him doing a ritual where they dove. What is that?
This story isn't just another flashy celebrity real estate drama. It's a full-blown cover-up in motion, a desperate move to hide a mansion packed with secrets that could shatter reputations. And the timing, way too perfect. While Sean Diddy Combs sits locked up in a New Jersey prison, serving a 50-month sentence for allegedly moving people across state lines for private encounters, his $61.5 million Beverly Hills estate has suddenly disappeared from the market. But here's the wild part. It's not because there aren't buyers or money problems. Nope. Insiders say the real reason is way darker. Something inside that house is too risky for anyone else to lay eyes on. They claim whatever's behind those walls could destroy more than just Diddy's image. It could expose an entire web of chaos. We're talking about the Holmby Hills mansion, 17,000 square feet of straight-up scandal. The same place where those infamous freak-off parties allegedly went down. Federal investigators stormed the spot, seizing weapons, sketchy substances, and get this, over 1,000 bottles of personal lubricants. That raid went down in March 2024, and right after the place hit the market that September, just days before Diddy got busted in New York. The price tag screamed luxury, but no amount of polish could clean its reputation. For over a year, the listing sat untouched, with buyers reportedly running for the hills after private tours. Then, boom, on December 24th, Christmas Eve, the listing vanished without warning. Real estate insiders call the move highly unusual, while legal experts whisper that it's downright desperate. Because at this point, it's not about money anymore, it's all about control. Right now, Diddy's got nothing. No freedom, no control, and definitely no mansion to show off. The real question isn't just why the listing vanished, it's what those potential buyers actually saw inside that made them run for the exit. Sources are buzzing about secret tunnels buried beneath the estate, hidden passageways leading to sealed rooms with locked doors that gave visitors chills. Some of those who toured the place reportedly bounced before even finishing negotiations, saying the setup felt way too eerie. Then there's the timing, because this whole move dropped right as Diddy's legal team filed an 84-page appeal. They're claiming his sentence is way too harsh, that the judge went too far, and that the jury's verdict didn't match the punishment. But while that paperwork's flying through the courts, Netflix just dropped a bomb. The new docuseries, Sean Combs, The Reckoning, executive produced by his longtime rival 50 Cent, just hit the platform, and it's loaded with never-before-seen footage. Clips of Diddy pacing, ranting at his lawyers, and scheming his next move before his arrest. Now the Beverly Hills mansion isn't just a fancy property, it's a ticking time bomb, a liability waiting to explode. So let's take it back to March 2024, when Homeland Security agents stormed not just that mansion, but also his $48 million Miami waterfront home. What investigators found wasn't just gossip column drama, it was hard evidence. Weapons, including AR-15 rifle parts, piles of sealed video files, and yes, those infamous tunnels everyone's now whispering about. Hidden beneath the mansion's luxurious floors, these tunnels are back in the spotlight thanks to bombshell claims from Diddy's former associate, Rodney Lil Rod Jones. According to court documents, Jones says there were secret cameras planted in every room, recording celebrities, athletes, and industry heavyweights without their knowledge. He claims those private gatherings weren't just parties, they were setups, and Diddy allegedly kept the recordings as leverage, a stash of compromising footage that could explain why so many big names supposedly stayed quiet about what went down behind those walls. But here's the real shocker. If those tapes actually exist, they're still out there. And if even one potential buyer stumbled across proof of that inside the mansion, everything changes. Suddenly, this isn't just about a sale falling through, it's about containing a scandal that could blow wide open at any second. That's why insiders are saying the delisting wasn't a business move, it was a full-on retreat. Diddy's team knows that mansion is a liability, a pressure cooker ready to burst. Every private tour risks another leak, another witness, another piece of evidence slipping into the wrong hands. And don't forget, this is the same mansion Cassie Ventura mentioned in her 2023 lawsuit.
So a lot of things in Hollywood are ritualistic for sure. And if you pay close attention to it, you can see it. When you see somebody holding up this like this, with the two fingers close like this, that's the hand sign of the Baphomet. You know, they do say Luciferianism.
Where she claims she was pressured into disturbing performances while Diddy allegedly documented it. Those same walls supposedly saw NDAs forced on guests, substances flowing freely, and behavior that's now haunting the courtroom. The mansion isn't just property anymore. It's a crime scene wrapped in luxury. And we can't skip over that underground swimming tunnel. What was once a flashy flex suddenly turned creepy after the raid. Social media blew up with wild theories claiming Diddy used it to slip away from agents during the March search. His lawyers shut those rumors down fast, calling them ridiculous. But by then, the damage was done. The mansion's rep was locked in, dark, secretive, and straight out of a scandal. Fast forward to December 2025, and the saga's far from over. Diddy's appeal is finally moving through the system, and mysteriously, his release date just got bumped up to May 2028. Nobody's saying why, and that silence is only fueling more talk. His legal team is furious, accusing Netflix of stealing private footage for the docuseries, threatening lawsuits left and right. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's sitting back smirking like he's been waiting for this moment. After all, he spent years clowning Diddy, even posting fake Diddy oil labels after those lubricant bottles were seized. But here's the twist. The docuseries Sean Combs, The Reckoning, doesn't just recycle old gossip, it drops new bombs. Jurors from the trial speak out, saying the evidence they saw was deeply disturbing. Former associates describe a climate of control and intimidation that sounds straight out of a thriller. And then there's the footage, clips of Diddy before his arrest, pacing, ranting, and reportedly orchestrating his defense, all while being secretly recorded. If that was bold enough to make it into the series, just imagine what footage never saw the light of day. Here's where the mansion storms back into the spotlight. Sources are saying the property didn't vanish from the market because nobody wanted it. It was yanked because the few brave buyers who did make it past the gates came out shaken to their core. One group reportedly backed out fast after stumbling on bizarre, unsettling modifications hidden deep in the basement, stuff that wasn't anywhere on the official blueprints. Another buyer supposedly found a soundproofed room so thick with insulation it looked like something out of a crime movie. People started asking what that room was really for, but answers never came. And then there's the tunnel situation. This isn't the decorative grotto pool feature the luxury listings bragged about. We're talking narrow, secret passages that twist away from the main house, ending at locked doors that nobody on the tour had keys for. When potential buyers pressed for details, the mansion's high-profile realtor, Kurt Rappaport, allegedly brushed it off, saying those spaces were under renovation. But come on, renovation doesn't explain why security system logs later obtained by investigators show those tunnel doors being opened late at night during the very years those infamous freak-off parties were supposedly happening. That's no coincidence. It's a red flag waving loud. Diddy's team keeps calling it all noise, claiming the delisting was simply about protecting privacy and waiting for the right buyer. But privacy doesn't explain why the estate was relisted in September 2024, just days before Diddy's arrest, as if someone saw the storm coming and tried to offload the property before the feds circled back. And what about now? Months later, not one serious buyer has come forward again. Real estate insiders are baffled, and the whispers from people who actually worked inside the house after the raid make things even sketchier. Contractors reportedly say they were hired to seal off specific areas of the estate before it went back on the market, seal them up permanently. So the question hanging in the air isn't just why the mansion was delisted, it's what's still hidden behind those walls. So what's really hiding inside that mansion? The tunnels, the rooms wired with cameras, the secret spaces where, according to Lil Rod's lawsuit, Diddy supposedly kept his most sensitive recordings. That question still hangs in the air, and every new detail just makes the story darker. While all this unfolds, the legal chaos around him keeps stacking higher. Just last month, the LA County Sheriff's Department opened a fresh misconduct and battery probe tied directly to Diddy's name. On top of that, the civil lawsuits keep piling up, each one pointing right back to that same mansion as the core of everything, the so-called ground zero of his empire's collapse. And hovering over it all is his appeal, Diddy's last real shot at freedom before 2028. His lawyers are pushing hard, claiming the judge acted like a 13th juror, arguing that the sentence was way too harsh for what he was convicted of. But here's the twist. The charges that actually stuck weren't the racketeering or trafficking ones everyone expected. He only got nailed for transportation charges, the lighter end of the list. Those bigger, darker allegations, the ones tied to the mansion, the parties, the footage, the tunnels, they never made it into the final conviction, which makes this fight to cut down his time even more suspicious. Because let's be real, a man with Diddy's power and resources doesn't battle this hard just over a few years behind bars unless what's waiting for him on the other side is worse. And now, there are reports from inside saying he's been dealing with knee issues in prison, limiting his mobility. But even from a cell, the focus keeps snapping back to that one house. The mansion no one will buy, the mansion with the tunnels, the one multiple insiders swear still hides items that could explain everything.
He did a whole lot to a whole lot of people, and now he's paying for it. So all these cats, I guess y'all get y'all visitation rights, Some of y'all can get y'all conjugal visits right with him. I don't give.
Diddy's team is scrambling, desperate to get their hands back on that mansion before anyone else does. And this isn't about fancy furniture or designer art, it's about something way heavier. We're talking hard drives, ledgers, and data that could drag down more than just Diddy. Insiders claim that evidence ties straight to powerful figures who once partied behind those guarded gates, people who signed NDAs, thinking their secrets would stay buried forever. But if that mansion was a vault, it might be cracking open. Now, the burning question is simple but chilling. What exactly was hidden inside? And who's bold enough to speak out about it? Because one thing's for sure, Diddy didn't pull that listing for fun. Those buyers didn't back out because of the price or the decor. And those tunnels, they don't just twist into nothing, they lead somewhere real, somewhere secret. Someone out there knows what's behind those locked doors. And after the past year, it's clear. The mansion's walls and even the ground beneath them seem to remember everything. Those tunnels under Diddy's mansion aren't just a flashy millionaire quirk. They're a blueprint for concealment, a setup built to keep things out of sight and out of reach. And the deeper you dig, the darker the story gets. Let's talk about those sealed rooms buyers reportedly stumbled upon during private tours. The ones with heavy locks and soundproof walls. These weren't dusty storage closets or half-finished renovations. According to 3 separate sources familiar with the estate's design, those spaces were used regularly in the years leading up to the federal raids. Security logs even show strange late-night entries that didn't match any staff schedules. Whatever was happening down there wasn't random. It was planned. And now that the mansion's off the market and sealed tight, one question keeps echoing: what are they so afraid of someone finding? One contractor, who only agreed to talk under strict anonymity, gave a chilling description of what they saw. They said those hidden rooms were purpose-built, small, soundproofed, and equipped with full ventilation systems, the kind meant for long-term use. That raises the question, why on earth would a mansion already stretching over 17,000 square feet need secret chambers that don't appear on any official floor plan? What were they really for? And then there's that infamous underwater tunnel, the one connecting the main house to the grotto pool. When federal agents raided the mansion in March 2024, that luxury feature suddenly took on a whole new meaning. Social media went wild with claims that Diddy used it to slip away undetected, though his lawyer laughed it off as absurd. But the whispers didn't stop there. Because here's the kicker. The tunnel wasn't just an architectural flex for billionaire aesthetics, it was a private escape route leading from deep inside the mansion straight out to a hidden exit beyond the reach of the estate's main security cameras. According to former staff members, that passage was used more than once to quietly move people or things without being seen. That changes everything. And the timing of the raid only makes things more suspicious. Diddy wasn't home when agents showed up, and he wasn't at his Miami estate either. Both locations hit on the same day. So where was he? How did he manage to vanish right as the raids went down? If those tunnels were just a fun architectural gimmick, why do FBI evidence logs later reference unaccounted for access points in their reports? That means there were entries and exits no one had mapped. But the real question isn't just where those tunnels lead, it's who else knew about them. Because there's no way a setup like that existed without help. This wasn't a solo operation, it was a system. And someone out there still knows exactly how it worked. According to leaked contractor documents, the mansion's security setup wasn't run like a normal household system. It was locked down tight. The team managing it included not only trusted staff, but also outside tech specialists brought in under heavy NDAs. One of those technicians, who reportedly worked inside the estate back in 2022, told a private investigator something wild: that certain camera feeds from inside the mansion weren't going to the home's main server at all. They were being routed to an off-site location, a hidden server completely outside the property's control. When the tech was pressed about it, he said he was explicitly told to ignore those connections, to act like they didn't exist. That detail hits different when you connect it to the claims in Rodney Lil Rod Jones's lawsuit, the one accusing Diddy of planting hidden cameras in nearly every room, secretly recording high-profile guests without their consent. Now imagine this. If those feeds were really stored externally, then someone out there still has access to them. That means sensitive footage could still be sitting on a private server, untouched, waiting to surface. And with the mansion now pulled off the market, those secrets are locked away again, literally sealed behind luxury walls. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal defense is tying itself in knots. His appeal argues the judge overstepped by painting him as a predator, insisting the sentence didn't match the jury's verdict. But here's the contradiction. While they're claiming unfair treatment in court, the same team is also fighting hard to suppress evidence tied to the mansion, the very place where the darkest accusations were born.
If he gets 14 months, if the defense gets what they want, he'd essentially get out October 3rd because
he's been in
for a
13
year,
months.
and you get 15% credit for time served. So he'd basically be out after the sentence, and then he'd be on supervised release.
It's a twisted double play, demanding justice on one hand while keeping the mansion's secrets buried on the other. And the deeper we look, the more it seems like that house isn't just hiding evidence, it's hiding the truth itself. Diddy's legal team isn't slowing down. They're now suing Netflix over the Reckoning documentary, claiming the platform used stolen footage. But here's the strange part. They refuse to comment on what's actually in that footage. Instead, they've gone silent, dodging questions while trying to shift the focus elsewhere. Around the same time, the Beverly Hills mansion quietly vanished from the market, right as new civil lawsuits dropped, each one naming that estate as a central location in the alleged misconduct. Talk about suspicious timing. It's a complete paradox. Diddy's lawyers want the world to see him as a victim of a witch hunt, but behind the scenes, they're doing everything they can to silence the one place that could finally prove or destroy his defense. If that house really is innocent, why all the secrecy? And let's not forget the original real estate listing that kicked off this entire mystery. The photos showed off everything a $61 million home should brag about. The grand theater, the luxury spa, the full beverage cellar, pure Hollywood excess. But take a closer look and you'll notice something missing. A lot missing. There's no mention of the tunnels, no reference to the underground passage, not even a single shot of those locked, closed-end rooms. Real estate insiders call that a massive red flag. Former associates call it what it really looks like, a cover-up. Because if those hidden features were just harmless, quirky add-ons, why scrub them from the listing entirely, unless, of course, they were never meant to be seen at all? The deeper this investigation goes, the clearer it becomes that this mansion wasn't just a luxury property, it was a machine built for secrecy. Every piece of it, the hidden cameras, the off-site servers, the soundproof rooms, they weren't random design choices, they were part of a system. And here's the kicker. Systems like that don't just run themselves. They need maintenance. They need cooperation. They need people willing to keep their mouths shut, which means if the mansion really was designed to hide something, it wasn't just Diddy behind it. So the million-dollar question, who else was in on it? The technicians who set up the hidden cameras, the security team that watched those feeds night after night, or the high-profile guests who showed up for the so-called exclusive gatherings and then stayed silent afterward. Because let's be real, secrets this heavy don't stay buried forever. Someone always cracks, someone always slips up, and in this case, it might not even be a person doing the talking. It might be the walls themselves. That mansion wasn't just a luxury retreat, it was the nerve center of something way bigger, a carefully managed operation that stretched far beyond the gates of Holmby Hills. Diddy's Bad Boy Records empire might have started with music, but it clearly ran on more than beats and hits. Insiders say it thrived on connections, the kind of access that comes when you've got the right leverage on powerful people. Industry whispers have been swirling for years about the overlap between his record label's roster, those infamous late-night gatherings, and the elite circle of guests who always seem to orbit around his properties. People talk about star athletes, major politicians, even foreign dignitaries showing up under the pretense of industry parties or charity galas. But now, with all the recent allegations, those events look a whole lot different. Because when you add in claims of hidden cameras, soundproofed rooms, and tunnels designed for secrecy, those exclusive parties start to sound like something else entirely, something calculated, something designed to keep people comfortable enough to let their guard down, while someone else made sure the cameras kept rolling. If that's true, then this wasn't just a mansion. It was a stage built to control the narrative, and every guest who stepped inside might have played a role without even realizing it. This whole thing was never just about entertainment, it was about control. And in Hollywood, where your reputation is your paycheck, control means everything. What makes this story even more unsettling is the twisted financial web that seems to be wrapped around that mansion's operations. Bad Boy Records wasn't just a record label, it was a brand factory. And every one of Diddy's luxury properties, especially that Beverly Hills estate, was part of the machine. The same house that hosted those over-the-top parties also doubled as a set for music videos, photo shoots, and even private investor meetings held behind closed doors. But here's where it gets sketchy. Former employees say a lot of those so-called business expenses were pushed through shell companies. That made it nearly impossible to track where the money came from, who signed off on it, or what those payments were really funding. And when federal agents stormed the property back in 2024, they weren't just hunting for evidence of personal misconduct, they were tracing a paper trail that hinted the mansion was part of a much bigger system, a financial ecosystem built on quiet deals, favors traded behind the scenes, and debts that could be paid off with silence instead of cash. That's where the real danger lives, not just in what Diddy might have done behind those walls, but in who else got tangled in it. Because if the rumors about the mansion's hidden recording systems are true, those cameras didn't just capture him. They might have been rolling on everyone. Guests, partners, investors, and maybe even people who thought they were untouchable. Now that footage, if it still exists, could do more damage than any lawsuit ever could. It's not just about a man's mistakes. It's about an entire network of influence built on fear, loyalty, and secrets that were never supposed to see daylight.
He's a deviant and he plays with dark magic. These are facts. You always see these people who have these meteoric rises. Nobody's giving them, nobody's backing them. They just like they did it from the ground up. The trade-off with that is you have to perpetuate darkness.
In a city like Los Angeles, where fame is fragile and one scandal can end a career overnight, footage like that isn't just damaging, it's explosive. The whispers alone are enough to send publicists into full-blown panic mode. Just think about the names that have already been linked, even loosely, to Diddy's inner circle. A-list actors, top-tier athletes, and even a former mayor who reportedly showed up at one of those infamous freak-off gatherings. None of them have been accused of breaking any laws, but the simple rumor of being there is enough to light up the internet and send reputations spiraling. The question now isn't whether these guests were part of anything illegal, it's whether they were recorded. And if they were, what could a man like Diddy, someone legendary for using leverage to his advantage, have done with those recordings? That's the real fear. Because those tapes, if they exist, don't just hold dirt, they hold power. That's why the mansion's secrets aren't just Diddy's problem anymore. They're a time bomb for an entire web of high-profile players, people who have every reason to make sure those locked doors stay sealed forever. Insiders believe the sudden delisting of the property wasn't just about hiding evidence, it was about cutting off access to a vault of potential blackmail material. And if those mansion walls could talk, oh, they'd have stories that would shake Hollywood, the music industry, and even a few political offices to their core. Because this isn't just one man's scandal, it's a chain reaction waiting to erupt. The next big revelation won't just uncover what went down in those tunnels, it'll expose who else was there and what lengths they'll go to keep their names out of the headlines. Because in this game, survival isn't about truth, it's about silence. Now let's break down the timing, because Netflix didn't just drop The Reckoning by coincidence. That docuseries landed in early December, right when Diddy's appeal was heating up, and right when the Beverly Hills mansion quietly vanished from the market. That's no random rollout, that's strategy. The series dives deep with interviews from jurors, accusers, and former insiders who all point to that mansion as the epicenter of a culture built on intimidation and control. But here's what almost no one's talking about. Netflix producers have admitted there's more footage they couldn't include. They called it too sensitive and too legally risky to air. That raises one serious question. What's on those tapes? And why would Netflix, a company famous for pushing limits, choose to hold back anything unless the material was beyond explosive? That kind of restraint means the stakes must be sky high. Meanwhile, there's another move happening behind the scenes. Diddy's prison release date has been quietly bumped up to May 2028, a few weeks earlier than planned. His team brushed it off as a clerical correction, but insiders are whispering that it might be something else entirely. Part of a deeper negotiation, maybe even connected to cooperation on other fronts. Because let's be real, if that mansion truly is the key to this entire scandal, then whoever controls it controls the story, and that kind of power is worth fighting over. So here's where everything stands. A mansion full of sealed rooms, a maze of tunnels that lead who knows where, and a man behind bars working harder to bury evidence than to prove his innocence. The potential buyers who ran from the deal aren't talking. The contractors who saw too much have signed airtight NDAs. And the footage, the recordings that could tie this whole thing together, it's out there somewhere, waiting to surface. So what do you think is still hidden inside that mansion? And who's making sure it stays locked away? Drop your thoughts below, because the deeper this story goes, the darker it gets. Stay sharp, stay curious, because in this world, the truth doesn't just come out, it gets dragged into the light. And you better believe, we'll be watching. If you want more wild breakdowns like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below. Your voice keeps the investigation alive.